All right. Welcome to our very first Instant Pot class. So I hope that everybody has rinsed their rice. So you want to have rinsed your rice for about 2 minutes. And what we're going to do is make sure our Instant Pot is plugged in. Hopefully you can see this. I've got a 6-quart Instant Pot. So we're going to dive right in and get our rice started. So let's put our 2 cups of rinsed rice in there, okay? So we had a little adjustment on the recipe after I tested it about 5 times. So we're gonna put our 2 cups of rice right in the bottom, okay? The next thing we need is 2.5 cups of water. We're gonna add that right in with the rice, okay? Now, what I want you to do on your Instant Pot is make sure your seal is seated properly. So if your seal is kind of crooked or not on the ring properly here, you're not gonna get a good seal and it's not gonna build up pressure. And so then your rice isn't gonna cook and it's gonna take forever. The other thing you wanna do is make sure you are setting your venting knob to seal. So make sure you're setting this is venting, set your knob to whatever seal is on your pressure cooker. And we're gonna go ahead and cover it and lock it. So everybody cover and lock it. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna use the rice function. So what the rice function is going to do is cook it on low pressure for 12 minutes, okay? So hit the rice, make sure it says 12, and make sure it says low pressure, okay? And then we're just gonna let this sit. It's gonna take, I timed it, it's gonna take about 3 minutes to get up to pressure. And then we're gonna have 12 minutes of it cooking. And then we're going to just let it hang out for another 10 minutes or so while we make the seasoning that we're gonna put in the rice, and then we are gonna get our vegetables chopped up. So what we're gonna do is add a 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. So let's start by doing that. 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. And I want to just check my seal to make sure it's not leaking anywhere, because that did happen to me and I was wondering why my rice was taking forever to cook, and it was because it wasn't sealing. So we're going to add 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. I am going to just pop it in the microwave once we're done with the seasoning mix to melt the sugar a little bit, but you can also, instead of putting it in a glass bowl, you can also put it on the stove top to just melt the sugar that we're gonna add. So that's the 1/4 cup rice vinegar. Oops, that goes on here. I'm gonna put these aside to clean up my workspace. The next thing we're gonna add is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And if you're sensitive to salt, you can add a little bit less. So you could do a 1/4 teaspoon if you are sensitive to salt, but we're making a goodly amount of rice. So this is gonna go into our seasoning for the rice. So I'm just gonna do a very scant 1/2 teaspoon. We're gonna add that. And then we have our 1 teaspoon of sugar. So here's my sugar. Now you can use, I've got some organic cane sugar, or you can use some coconut palm sugar. I've tried it with both Coconut palm sugar is a little bit lower on the glycemic index. So if you have blood sugar issues, you can use coconut palm sugar. I am just gonna go ahead and use our organic cane sugar. And so this makes your rice a little tangy, a little sweet, and a little salty. So let's mix this up a little. And I am gonna pop this into the microwave for about 20 seconds just to melt the sugar. I'm actually gonna be doing a cooking class with microwaves at one point for military and college students because sometimes that's all they have access to. So I'm going to just mix this up. And it's melting together. And if I need to pop it in for another 10 seconds, I can, but that looks pretty good to me. You just want it to be well incorporated so that in your rice, you don't have a little bit of salty here and a little bit of sweet here and tangy here. So it's all gonna be mixed in. So we're just gonna set this aside for now. All right, now we're gonna start on our veggies. Let's go ahead and start chopping our cucumber. And I have this English cucumber. Now what you want to do is get it into thin strips as much as you can. And you can chop the little end off. I like to eat the end of it. And then put the rest in the dump bucket. Now I'm going to chop this using my claw into, and I'm using my clean hands, a manageable size. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is take my little piece here and I'm going to cut thin slices, as thin as I can, and then I will start stacking them up. So it's kind of gonna be like a little pancake shape, sort of like this, okay? And the reason you use English cucumbers is they have a little bit less seeds in there than a normal, really juicy cucumber. But if that's all you have, I say go for it. So I'm stacking these little guys up like this. And so what I'm gonna do is just chop now into thin strips. So I cut it into the pancake shape. And now look at these cool little strips I have. See that? So you just chop into your pancake shape first and then cut your thin strips. Now we're gonna move on to our carrot. So I'm gonna cut the end of my carrot. Oh, there we go. Okay, now our rice is done cooking for the 12 minutes, but don't vent it yet, okay? So what we're gonna do is I just turn mine off and we're just gonna let it sit for 10 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna set the timer on my phone for 10 minutes because I just got a new stove and I'm not sure how the timer works. So I'm gonna use my phone. Our carrots. Now I'm gonna continue to do these thin strips. I've got a few longer pieces I'm just gonna put over here. And that's okay. Put these aside. I can snack on those. Now I'm gonna move on to, I've got a little purple cabbage. And what I love about purple cabbage is it sure does last a long time in the fridge. And it's a little sweet and it tastes delicious. And it can be our purple vegetable. So I'm gonna chop a little because I know not everybody probably has the purple cabbage. I just like to add a little bit. So I'm chopping just thin, a couple thin strips here. And I'm gonna put that right there. Set him aside. And now I'm gonna work on my peppers. So I'm gonna cut this top off, pull out some of the seeds. Let me grab my dump bucket really quick. Got my compost bucket right here. So I'm just gonna put some of the inside and the seeds in there. And I put my top in there. You can save the seeds and try and plant them. Bell peppers, if you've got your bell pepper, they are an excellent source of vitamin C. Vitamin C helps with collagen production, which you need to keep your skin healthy, nails, hair. It helps your immune system fight colds. So many benefits to eating foods that have vitamin C. And the cool, oh, I was gonna go dice that, but so I keep forgetting. Sometimes I just start to dice them. But I've got my long strips. Those are ready to go. Other things you might want are some lettuce. If you have lettuce, you could add that, and some cilantro. Really, you can add any vegetable you like. I'm gonna actually peel my mango quickly, if I can find my peeler. I know I have it here. So there's a couple different ways you can do mango, but sometimes just peeling it saves the most fruit of the fruit. Because sometimes when I'll just cut off the skin, but I end up losing a fair amount of the fruit, so. I'm just gonna have a little bit of this mango myself. I think they have mangoes on sale at Publix. So I got these little champagne mangoes, and I know I see them about once a year, so I hop on top of getting them when I can. All right, I got my avocados. I rinsed these off previously. What I'm gonna do is just slice him very gently so I don't slice through the skin and slice my hand. Because when avocados are really ripe, you can kind of easily slice through the skin. I've got my spoon here, and what I'm gonna do is now scoop out my slices. And then they come out really nicely into these little slices. I'm gonna put the ends in my dump bucket. So I'm gonna put those right on my plate. And then I'm gonna do the other side. Now, getting the pit out can be kind of messy. So what I'm gonna do is try and just hold it carefully and then catch the pit with my knife and kind of wiggle it back and forth, and then the pit comes off on my knife. And slices, you can see. Now, if it's really ripe, it's hard to get these slices that hold together of your mango, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know how we do things in class, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm gonna slowly vent this. So I'm gonna use a tool to vent my pressure cooker here, my Instant Pot. Okay, it's already vented, so nothing's coming out, but you always want to be very careful when you're venting it because it can burn you. And then you want to open it away from you. Always open it away from you, okay? Now I'm gonna unplug it so I can bring it over to show you guys what I'm doing. All right, now what you can do with the top is just set the top right there in that little hole that's on the handle. So I learned that from a friend of mine, and a lot of people I guess don't know that, and are super excited to find that out. So your rice should be all done and ready to go. If you have a wood spoon, you can kind of fluff it. Ooh, it's nice and sticky. That is some sticky rice. So look at that. Okay, that was sticking nicely. I'm gonna just pour in now our seasoning. So our vinegar, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. So it's salty, and this is how they make sushi rice. Get a towel, and you're gonna put that down. I'll cut some more avocado in a minute. So we're gonna put our towel down flat. And then what we're gonna do is get some parchment paper and put that on top. Now that's how we're gonna make our sushi roll. And your napkin will probably get a little bit messy, but that's okay. We'll wash it. So we've got our station ready. We're gonna put that down. Put your rough side on the inside. I think I've done it both ways, but I kind of like how it looks better. Now, what we're gonna do is take some sushi rice, and we're gonna spoon that right onto the end on the inside. Now, this is the easiest way. You can also do it on the outside, but for a beginner, this is a great way to get started. Now let's start with some of our fillings. We can pick some cucumber, a couple bits of cucumber. Try not to overload it. Sometimes we tend to overdo it, and then it can be tough to roll. Let's do a little bit of carrot for some crunch. And I've got some purple cabbage, which I love. And we've got some pepper, and I've got some mango, but you have to have the avocado. I feel like you have to have the avocado. Like the avocado makes it so yum. Put like one pepper in there. And then I need one more little pepper. And then I'm gonna put my avocado in there. And then we're gonna start rolling. We're gonna squish it down. Okay. Now, I've got to get my sushi kind of to the end here. And I'm gonna wipe my hands. Now what we're gonna do is use the towel to get it started. And then we're going to squish it down. Hold on. Okay, so squish it down a little bit so it gets nice and tight. Some might come out of the end, but that's okay. I want it to be kind of tight. Normally you can also let your sushi rice cool a little bit, but keep rolling. Roll it. Now, when you get to the ends, you're gonna take some water and put some water right along the edge. That is gonna help it seal. And then you're gonna roll it and seal. Now what I'm gonna do is slice these. And I like to slice with a serrated knife. This has a little bit of a groove there on the end. I find that to make it a little easier to slice it. So I'm gonna just slice, and I'll move this back so you can see. Slice him into, and you can choose as many rolls as you would like. So, oh, it looks so pretty. There we go. And what you do is when you get to the end, you put the end with the pieces sticking out, right? So they're on the top. And then I'm gonna, this end is falling apart a little bit, so I'm just gonna set that guy aside. Now, let's do that one more time so we can see, but doesn't that look pretty? All right, let's do this again so we can see how this goes. Oh, this guy's facing the wrong way. There we go. And in fact, just to keep it symmetric, I will keep the end of this one over here. Now, what you can do is get a little sauce cup, dip some soy sauce. Oh, and you know what you can also do is if you have black and white sesame seeds, you can sprinkle some black and white sesame seeds on there. And that's just for show, for garnish. Makes it look pretty. Fancy. Then, oh my gosh, you guys, this looks so pretty. And then you have your liquid aminos or your coconut aminos or whatever. And so we can do a taste test. And Chef Gabby's back, so she might want to grab the other end piece and try it. I'm gonna dip. And I'm gonna try it.
I'm gonna try it too.
I love veggie sushi. Good? Mm-hmm. All right.
That's really good.
Okay. Oh, look at Katie's. Looks so pretty. I love the red pepper. That is a real rainbow. Beautiful. All right. Oh, and look at Chef Trey. Good job, you guys. I am so impressed. That is beautiful. All right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I had so much fun. And now we have some sushi for dinner. Yay!
And I learned I've never been able to cut it right, but I've never tried a serrated knife. So,
yes.
Hey!
Yay! You learned something. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you all again soon. So have a great night. Bye.